So most people think that their relationship is fine because there's no big fight. There's no betrayal. There's no obvious breaking point. Everything works. Kids get to school, dinners get made, bills get paid. But something in a lot of relationships tends to feel off. You're not unhappy, just not really connected with your partner. You're living together, but you're not really in it together, or at least it doesn't feel that way. And here's what I've noticed working with couples for years. Somewhere along the way, something very small changes. Most couples don't even tend to notice it when it happens. But once it changes, the relationship slowly starts to flatten. And the strange part is almost every long-term couple goes through this exact shift. It's common in all long-term marriages. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the shift is, why it happens, even to good couples, and one simple thing that you can do today to reverse it. But first, let me show you what it actually looks like. So I want you to think back to the beginning of your relationship, right? When you wanted to know everything about your partner, what their childhood was like, what they were afraid of, what they dreamed about. You'd stay up late talking. I remember my wife and I one night, we stayed on the phone before we were, together, just started dating for 5 hours. It wasn't because I had to, because I wanted to. And so did she. You'd ask questions like, hey, what made you feel that way? What do you want your life to look like in 5 years? Hey, what's the best thing that's ever happened to you? And honestly, in that early stage, when your partner answered, you leaned in, right? You were genuinely interested. You weren't just performing interest. You weren't just going through the motions. You were actually interested. That's what curiosity feels like, right? That pull towards someone, that hunger to understand them at a deeper level. Because when somebody feels genuinely seen, they tend to open up. And when they open up, connection, intimacy, it all deepens. Now, at the beginning of love, curiosity is effortless. You don't have to remind yourself to ask questions. You just do it naturally, constantly. The question becomes then, what happens to it in a long-term relationship? Now, here's the shift that happens, right? The thing that changes so quietly, most couples miss it completely, right? Couples stop being curious about each other, not all at once, not because of a fight or a specific moment. It actually just gets replaced. Slowly, almost invisibly, it gets replaced by logistics. You start the day coordinating. Who's dropping the kids off? Who's handling dinner? Right? Did you confirm that appointment that I told you to confirm? Did you do that thing I asked you to do? And at night, it's the exact same thing. Hey, did you call the mechanic? Oh, what time's our kids' soccer tomorrow? Did you send that email I told you to send? Did you grab some milk before you got home? You're dealing with logistics. And then the plate gets cleared, right? The kids go to bed. And what do? Well, if you're like a lot of couples, you probably pick up your phone and start scrolling, or open your Netflix account and start watching until the day ends. Neither of you meant for it to go this way. You're just stuck in a bad pattern. You're just two really busy people running a busy life. But at some point, something got lost in the shuffle. And here's the shift. You go from exploring each other to managing life together. The relationship becomes organized, but not explored anymore. And here's the strange part for a lot of this. Couples often think this means that their relationship is healthy, right? There's no drama. There's no chaos. It's just smooth efficiency. We're just crushing it. But emotional connection doesn't grow in efficiency. It grows in curiosity. So sure, you know your partner's schedule. You know their preferences. You know their habits. But you've stopped wondering what's actually going on inside of them, right? And there's a shift there from knowing your partner to just knowing about them. And there's an emotional cost to this as well. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you asked your partner a question that had nothing to do with logistics? Honestly, think about it for a second. Take a moment. Because here's what happens when you stop doing that in a marriage. You stop discovering each other. Maybe you think you know everything about your partner, but people change. Your partner today is not the same person they were 5 years ago. They might have new fears, new hopes, new struggles. They haven't really fully said out loud yet. And without curiosity, you stop updating your picture of them and you're living with a past version of them that just exists in your mind. You start responding to who you think they are, not who they've actually become. And that's when things start to feel flat. Not because your partner changed badly, but because you've been missing the changes. And it creates something that's really hard to name. This quiet kind of loneliness. Not dramatic, not explosive, just quiet. You share the same house, the same bed, share the same routines, and still you both feel slightly invisible. Like the person next to you knows your schedule, but doesn't really know you anymore, the actual you. I remember one of the couples I worked with, they described it perfectly, right? They said, "We don't fight, we just don't really talk at all." And when I asked what they actually talked about, the same stuff. They listed logistics, school, work, schedules, what was happening in the community. I asked when the last time was that they had a real conversation, something personal, something curious. I remember them looking at each other and neither one of them could actually remember. That's what losing curiosity actually looks like. Not conflict, just distance, quiet, comfortable, unnoticed distance. Intimacy doesn't disappear when love fades. It disappears when curiosity fades. And a lot of good couples miss this, right? This is why it's so hard to catch because nothing dramatic happens. There's no fighting. There's no obvious turning point that you can look back on and be like, oh, that's where it started. No moment when you think, oh, something's wrong here. No, life just gets full. Curiosity gets slowly pushed to the back burner. It starts to feel optional, like something you'll get back to eventually when things slow down, when the kids are older, when that work deadline is done. But as you know, things don't slow down. They just stay full. There's always something else to take your attention. I worked with another couple not long ago. They were married 12 years, had 2 kids, they had a solid relationship, almost by every measure, right? From the outside looking in, they were the power couple. And they told me, we actually get along really great. And I believe them. But then I asked a pretty simple question. What's something your partner has been quietly thinking about lately that they haven't really talked about openly? And I just waited. And they looked at each other and they looked at me and they really couldn't pinpoint anything. And again, it's not that they were failing. That's just what happens when curiosity slowly fades out of a relationship. You get comfortable, you get busy, and eventually you stop asking. Not because you stopped caring, because you stopped noticing that you stopped asking. Now, there's good news around all this, right? Curiosity is not gone. It's just dormant. You don't need a weekend retreat. You don't need a communication overhaul. You don't need 8 months of therapy to bring it back. You just need to restart the habit. One question can do it. That's the start. Ask your partner tonight. Hey, what's something that's been on your mind lately that we haven't really talked about? Then, and this is the important part, just listen. Not to fix it, not to solve it, not to jump in with your own experience. just to understand it. That kind of listening is so rare in the world today. Most people, they don't get it really often. When your partner feels genuinely listened to, something opens up in them. And curiosity is like a muscle. You don't have to go all in at first. You just have to start using it again. One real question, one real conversation, and immediately you're going to start feeling the shift. That moment the curiosity returns, well, that's intimacy starting to breathe again. And here's what I've seen over and over working with couples. When you understand how connection actually works, you can rebuild it way faster than you think. Now, if what I described in this video sounds familiar for you, you're not behind, you're not broken, nothing wrong with your marriage. You're just a normal couple who got busy and lost a thread. Most couples were never actually taught how emotional connection works inside of a long term marriage. They were told love should carry it and that'll be enough. It's not. Connection actually needs habits, real, simple, repeatable habits, rituals that are done that improve your relationship. And I put together something for you that makes this pretty easy, right? It's called the Connection Blueprint. It's a short guide, it's a free download, walks you through the core habits that keep couples emotionally connected, especially in busy, full, high responsibility lives. I get that too. It's the same in my life with my wife. It doesn't take long for you to go through, but it just might change how you think about what connection actually takes. You can grab that in the link below. It's totally free if you want it. And tonight, you could ask your partner one real question, just one. And you might be surprised what you learn about the person sitting right next to you. Go after it.